love that you were the one who did it this time.
Great. Welcome to Zero Hit Points. I didn't record for 13 minutes. What was it? Doesn't matter.
We won't talk about mac and cheese this time.
We literally just did 10 minutes minimum on mac and cheese, and we lost it all.
Well, you lost it all. I lost nothing.
Oh.
I am sitting here, sitting pretty, not only with my conversation about mac and cheese, but I get to sit here in Colorado where I am surrounded by mountains of it, and you are there's a dearth of mac and cheese in your area. Apparently,
this is the one takeaway. You've got calamari mac and cheese. You've got German fingers mac and cheese, and that's not even the best mac and cheese at this quote unquote not fancy restaurant.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I know.
I have Kraft in a box, which we like,
love it, huge fan,
but not necessarily at my fancy Applebee's. You know, where I'm good money.
Like the highest quality mac and cheese you have available to you right now is Red Robin, I bet.
Do they have okay mac? I've never actually tried it there. We do have a Red Robin.
It's
not Kraft.
It's not Kraft, but it's like one step up.
Man, lost it all.
We lost it all.
But that's not even. That's you don't even know the half of it.
Yeah, and the important thing is this is a Zero Hit Points podcast where we only talk about mac and cheese.
Apparently.
Love it,
and occasionally video games.
That's what we're here for.
If that's what you're interested, you've still come to the right-ish place where we'll talk about what we've played, what other people have played, what other people have said. Even we'll get into it. Although I think this week's going to be a little bit of a lighter fare than in weeks past as far as the news and whatnot goes. So, video games, right? That's mac and cheese.
It's what we do. I played with mac and cheese this week. I also did eat it. You're so annoyed now.
It's the first time I've never not recorded anything. I'm always recording something.
No,
I record for a living.
It's the best part because it finally happened to you after 3 years of doing this. Where I've been caught at least twice, I think.
I thought just once.
Maybe just once.
Which is where I got my sense of superiority. I was like, I'm the guy that never forgot to record.
Yeah.
You know,
now
let's do this again.
Ha-ha!
Yeah.
We are equal again.
Welcome to two dirt boys on your podcast. Is this what it feels like all the time?
Always. 100% of the time. Look, we're a video game podcast. We're going to talk about video games. So let's do that. I have some video games to talk about, not a lot of. I played a bunch more Fortnite Battle Royale. Nothing to really add there. They did release the Season 3 Battle Pass.
I saw a bunch of stuff about that. Can you, if you want...
Yeah,
tell me about it.
The battle passes are you buy them with V-Bucks, their in-game currency, which you can get from the Save the World aspect of it, of the game, if you buy the whole thing. Otherwise, it's just real-world money translated into V-Bucks.
Are the seasons just Save the World?
No. These are just for Battle Royale. So
okay.
Not totally unrelated to Save the World. Just the V-Bucks, the way to buy the pass.
Understood.
Yeah, so the battle passes basically you purchase them, and as you play, you level up, and as you level up, your battle pass levels up, and as you level up your battle pass, you get things. You get emotes, you get skins, you get V-Bucks in some cases, experience to further your battle pass, what have you. This one, the third season, they've added a ton to it. So there's more skins. In particular, like the final skin you can get after you've leveled all the way up is John Wick. It's a John Wick based skin. Really very cool. Yeah, it's
like
very
licensed
cool.
or inspired.
Well, there's no licensing here, but you look at it and there's no question it's 1-to-1 John Wick.
That's fine.
You know,
I can live with that.
Yeah, I mean the main difference being they're using their guy, their style, so whatever.
But the character's got like the long hair.
He's got the long hair, the black suit, everything. It's John Wick. Like straight up John Wick. They added some other cool stuff though. They're totally going the TF2 route with this game, which is perfect. You know, they're doing the everything that if we can add effects to things, we will. So now they've added diving trails. So when you dump out of the plane, you can have different trails. So like right now, I think mine is like, I think I've got rainbows. I think that's what it is. There's like sparkly like stars and stuff, and there's fire.
Some happiness.
Yeah. They've also updated more gliders and stuff like that. They're adding weapons. They're doing all the stuff. They're focusing. They're focusing.
So still just all cosmetic though.
All cosmetic, yeah.
Okay.
They are adding weapons to the game, but they're nothing that they're all randomly in the world, so it's not
right.
You're not doing
and
anything.
in line with what's already there, I'd imagine.
Pretty much. There are some weapons out there that are like I don't know why do you have that there, but it's fine. It's fun that they've added stuff and they're continuing.
Have they got through their whole rehaul of the shooting system type thing, or are they still?
I don't know that they're ever gonna finish that. I mean, that feels like.
Oh no, they were doing like a grand. Like a
focused... they did the bullet testing. Yeah, that has not been fully implemented yet. There's changes that they'll still make to that, I think.
I do want to pick it up after that trickles down to console, I guess. Are they updating?
Yeah.
Is there parity there?
Yep.
Okay.
1-to-1.
Okay.
The nice thing for them is that the updates are generally pretty small, and I think that a lot of it is back end stuff. Because especially for Battle Royale, because it's skins, it's not things for.
And Epic's freaking on it. Like they're not wasting any time from what I've seen. Like they see the cash cow and they are attacking. May know where their bread is buttered. Yes. Also, yeah, that's probably has something.
Well, I mean, consider the fact that over the past probably 2 weeks, I have seen more sports guys like famous footballers, NHLers. There's actually an entire interview that was posted on TSN, which is Canada's sports network.
Where you go for news.
For where I go for hockey news. Or the hockey news. But in this case, TSN.
Speaking of which, let me come back to that when you're done here, but keep going.
Sure. There was a funny set of interviews with the Toronto Maple Leafs after a game, and the reporter brought up Fortnite. They're talking about Fortnite on TSN and how I really love the game and this is great and blah blah blah, and then it's
blown up in no uncertain terms, like beyond what it's been. In fact,
this is way beyond PUBG in regards to who's talking about it. PUBG from the gaming world, everybody knows about it, playing it. When you've got major sports figures talking about the game, I don't see them talking about PUBG. They're talking about Fortnite. That's what they're talking about. And in regards to that's crazy. That's a huge amount of people. And and Epic is seeing those numbers are climbing and climbing.
Sure.
And will not surprise me in any respect to see Fortnite overtake PUBG in the future. This year. It won't surprise me, especially considering you look at PUBG and just everything Bluehole's doing. 90% of their time they've had to freaking halt development on the game to combat cheaters.
Right. On PC at least anyways.
They're getting behind. So
which I mean they should be ramping up. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But
PUBG should be further ahead than Fortnite significantly in regards to how the game works. I mean, there's the one argument you have is that for or against that is that Epic had already built Save the World and it had been working for years. So they kind of were able to just port it with some minor changes to how it works.
Right.
But still, the fact that PUBG, that's all they're building is that one mode.
Epic is... God damn. I don't know who Bluehole's brought on, but I feel like Epic has been in the game a lot longer, as far as that goes.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, so yes, that's definitely a conversation. I'm glad we went to sports for a little bit because I'm qualified. Tell me why did I feel like I was tuning into Olympic hockey more than you?
Yeah, I don't care about it. That's a huge reason. Look,
see, I don't care about the Olympics either, but it's on all the time because my wife's into it. In fact, fun story, we got YouTube Live, which is another pilot thing, which we couldn't get. So YouTube Live is their TV service because we don't have cable, so we're looking for a way to subscribe. I couldn't subscribe to YouTube Live because we didn't live in an area where it was supported. So I VPN'd as if I was from San Jose and signed up just fine. So
no problems.
Victory. But yeah, so it's been on and hockey. She's into the hockey. The first one was lady hockey. I didn't know because are you watching these hockey players? And I was like, whoa, it's lady hockey.
Yeah, the women's hocky teams they're amazing. The American women's hockey team is great.
Look, and I think they got gold. But men's hockey, it seemed like you weren't. It was Germany, and it was Germany-Russia. I figured if you're tuning in, you're for that at least.
Yeah, we were actually out while the game was on, so we were watching it, and we did end up when we were out going to a German bar and watched the game there. Most of it, I didn't watch the whole thing. A huge part of it is the fact that I love the sport, but the Olympic version is different. And one of the major differences this year in particular is no NHL players or only former NHL players, which is very cool. Great for those players. But the NHL said, we're not sending players this year.
It was like a conscious decision not to send.
Yeah. The NHL made there's stuff to it between the NHL, the IHFF, who kind of sets up the international stuff, and then the Olympic. There's reasoning. It's garbage reasoning. There's the main thing for the NHL.
So you don't agree with the decision?
No, the main thing for the NHL is we don't. They're impacted financially. That's it. So they don't want to do it. That ultimately what it comes down to is we have to take a break for 2 weeks while our players go to other countries.
Huh.
That's kind of it. They don't want to do it because it's a loss of revenue for them.
Okay. All right. Sure. Meanwhile, Kurt Russell, right?
Just
Come on.
winning gold medals left and right. Kurt Russell, the coach of the millennia.
And honestly, I watched it for like maybe 5 minutes, so I'm not.
More than I've watched. But we're in the same boat. We don't have TV. We don't have cable or anything. And the Olympics, I'm not going to go and search for that online. And
I should have put you on my family thing, because that was the other thing is you get 6 accounts and you just connect it to literally anybody else's Gmail without them asking even.
Never would have watched it.
No? All right. Okay.
Never would have watched it.
It's canceled now, so it doesn't matter.
Well, thank goodness.
Sports!
There we go. We're back at it. But hey, dovetailing from sports, I did play more WWE 2K18.
Oh.
That game, man.
Beautiful game.
Yeah, it's fine. It's wrestling. That game has one of the best things about those games is universally looking up the glitches that people find and the weird gifts that people make. And I've had a number of them already. My favorite, I think, being there was a ladder match and a dude was going up the ladder and then another dude was going up a ladder and this was like the CPU. And it was like 6 people in the ring. So these 2 guys go up the ladder and then an animation kicks off while they're like, one of the guys going to suplex a dude off the ladder. But then I got like tossed into the ladder. So the ladder goes flying out from underneath them, but the animation continues. So they're just sitting there. And at one point they kind of go up and down the ladder that doesn't exist, which is then reset up underneath them. And they're like an entire like character body above it.
Love it.
Like, and it's like, I don't know. It's fun. It's really good.
One of the better scripted moments in a wrestling match is what you're saying.
Yeah, when they can float.
They do that in real life.
The major. I mentioned this last week. That I think if you are not a big WWE fan, this is not a casual game you should pick up. Don't pick it up. Get it if you love wrestling. That's the caveat that I mentioned last week. Continues into this week. That caveat still remains. I'm not going to bring this up again because I probably won't bring the game up again. But the one of the key things that they've done here is and I haven't dug into the store aspect of this, so I don't actually know if you can buy the currency or not. But as you wrestle, you get currency that's in game stuff that you use to unlock attributes and increase the quality of your wrestler. Okay. They very clearly are taking it at a slow trickle. Probably on purpose, so that you're going up through the ranks and you can't just like log in one day and beat the best guy in the ring. But on the same token, for the amount of time you put in, it's a trickle, and it's it can be very painfully slow.
Freaking hate that.
Thankfully, it's not a big deal, because it does seem like for the most part, what it comes down to is kind of one particular stat that you want to max out. So that you have as many reversals as possible. Once you get that stat maxed out, it's not easy, but it's more tenable. You can survive and win some of the matches. And the other thing that I found is you absolutely, unless you are maybe I'm sure there are players that can max this stuff out and they're like, yeah, I'm no big deal with the game at default or worse. But some of the abilities that the computer has makes it very difficult to want to continue playing if you don't adjust sliders for certain things like reversals, for example. Man, if you don't adjust that slider every single time you can do something, they will reverse it. and you just can't keep up with them. You
The
can't.
computer cheats. What you're saying is the computer cheats.
The computer cheats.
Computer cheats.
It's the NSA.
They've hacked the election.
They're hacking WWE 2K18 on my console.
Man,
I hate it. It's fine. It's
Collusion.
fun. I just won the Intercontinental Championship, so go me.
it's cool.
Yeah, that's
Who's on the intercontinents?
Dean Ambrose.
Haha, Dean.
Yeah, Dino Bros. The Dean Bros. His last name is Ambrose. My last name is Amberg. I figure if I can like take a year off of
Yeah,
work,
all right.
build up the muscle, I'll get into WWE, and then he and I can be the Ambrose.
Oh, Joe. I didn't even see it coming.
How? How did you not see that coming? It's perfect.
So good.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
And from here on out, I will never talk about video games or anything on this podcast again.
Hey.
I've been fired.
I forgot. I was going to ask you if you had any good Fortnite finishes or stories or anything there. No. Okay.
No,
Just checking.
nothing good.
Still number 2, huh?
Number 3, I still have
The
not
name of my
gotten second.
autobiography.
Oh, second.
Okay.
We got
All right.
second that one time. Yeah.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Been a while.
It's been a while
Play anything else?
because I am bad. No, that's all. Tell me about your life and your video games. You teased something last week. I'm very interested in, and I want to know. Your love of pinball came out.
I was excited for the Jurassic Park pinball table
I was excited to hear about it.
that Zen Studios
Wait.
or Pinball Effects was doing.
Why are we saying was here? I just realized there's an article being phrased.
Yeah, my fault. Joke's on me. It was inspired by the 1993 table. It wasn't one of these faithful or historical recreations that I have come to like so much. Like it's a different developer, I guess maybe that's why. Pinball Effects is definitely more, or Zen Studios is more arcadey. Less interested maybe in the historical recreative aspects, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it shows. I watched the trailer a couple times. I got some looks at the table to see if maybe I could still roll with it, but it's not what I'm looking for.
Unsalvageable.
No, it's not what I'm looking for. I'm sure I'd have fun with it. Like Pinball Effects I've had fun with in the past too, and I think Zen Studios does a good job, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that table or a faithful recreation, 1-to-1 of that table.
Dude, I know it. I believe you.
I'm bummed though because I feel like now that Zen Studios has the license, although they have a lot of licenses, so maybe I shouldn't be that bummed. I'm hoping this doesn't mean that my 1-to-1 recreation isn't going to happen on X pinball app that is doing a better job, which I can't remember the name of. I have it downloaded. It's got like they do really cool recreations of like Twilight Zone and Star Trek: The Next Generation. The classics.
Sure. I wonder if it has something to do with the licensing on it though. I wonder if it's because Data East was the company that created the actual machine. I wonder if maybe the table itself, like that design, is owned by Data East and can't be used by Zen, which is why they went, here.
That's probably definitely the case. It's just whether or not that license is being, I guess, doled out, because there are, like we talked about this last week too, but the licensors are split up between different apps that are doing the recreations like that. I don't know to what degree because I haven't got that deep into it because I didn't play a ton of tables, so that there's not a ton of draw as far as that goes. I'm interested in the tables I remember. The tables. Yeah. I would love to do a deep dive into like pinball table design, but it's probably not going to happen for a while. But yeah, I think it's more just because Zen Studios doesn't deal in that. Like they deal in like new or original creations. They've licensed out a bunch of Star Wars stuff, so they do cool. They do cool stuff. Like I said, I like it, but that's not, especially when it comes to Jurassic Park, what I'm looking for with that. So yeah, right. And something to look up though. Sure. I got to tell you this. I because you mentioned it, I decided to just dig around a little bit last week. Yeah. And I do that every couple months or so, just out of habit. Yeah, there are a few of them available right around where I live. Yeah. The cheapest one right now being about $3,500, and it's in pretty good condition too for being. I mean, that's a game that we know is
I think at its highest price right now that I've seen in what they consider mint condition, and based on the photos, it looks like it never left the factory. It was like $5,400.
Jeez, God, okay. That was the last time I was able to find one. It was about that. I want to say $3,000 or something like that. But.
Yeah. I did look at a couple of them and thought, oh man, tax returns coming up. How could I really just make Ryan? How can I get Ryan to come visit me?
Oh,
I'll just buy a pinball machine.
A Jurassic Park.
I'm not shipping.
Sure.
There's a lot of things I'd buy and send to you, Ryan. I absolutely would. This is not one of them. I've been talking with Beth for years about and she's been supportive. It's just been one of those things of how do you, the money is the issue, but she's always been cool with me taking at least a chunk of the garage and putting up some walling and making a little tiny arcade in there.
And that's the thing. It's the space. Like the money almost isn't the main thing for me. Like if that ended up being something I really wanted and one was really close, or if one was, maybe I found one for $2,000 only or something like that, like I would have a serious consideration, but it's the space. Like I don't know if I literally have anywhere to put that thing.
In your place, like it would be all that space right next to you. You'd have to get rid of all of it.
Yep. I would basically be, So.
Well, that's great. Podcasting being such a visual medium, I'm glad everybody can see what we're talking about.
It's pinball. You've seen it.
I'm talking about your house, but sure.
Unfortunately, the only thing I did, I was so depressed that I went and played some Star Wars Battlefront. So take that for
moving on.
Haha. But then I played a worse game, maybe not technically, but in a way. Let's talk about it. You ready? Micro Machines World Series.
What a brutal bummer.
Bummer. Thank you. Yeah, that would be the exact words I would use. We talked about it when it came out. It's a fine game, a fun game. We had some fun with it. I have had some fun with it. I continue to have limited amounts of fun with it. Again, we're talking about Micro Machines, not Star Wars Battlefront at this point.
Yeah, no limited fun there. There's no fun there.
But at this point, what Codemasters, I'm assuming, or whoever was put in charge with it, Codemasters is the owner, as far as I can tell, the developer.
Blame them.
Well, they've completely dropped support for it. There hasn't been any make goods because the game died pretty quick, like depressingly quick. That was part of the.
We got it like
that was part of what sucked.
We got it like a week or two after it came out.
It wasn't that long. Yeah, that was the other thing.
Nobody online. We could not find one game.
Unbelievably so. I was like, there's no way. I've never played a game that was dead that quick.
Yeah.
It was unfathomable. Like I thought maybe there was something, maybe there is something wrong with the netcode. I don't know. But I connected to one person once. I think I've seen.
That was me.
Yeah. Two people.
Still me.
There's been no make good. Like they haven't had any events to make up for the lack of people. Because at this point, let's say I'm the last person in the world trying to play this thing. Give me some double XP events. Give me some things to make up for.
Just permanently turn on double XP. Like, what are you guys doing?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, freaking Gears of War 4 has done that, but I guess they have a community, so maybe they're worried about it somewhat. But it just sucks because I can have some amount of fun with that, and part of that fun being the achievements, of course, but that's all shot to hell because they're not doing anything to make that more attractive than now that it's at least twice as boring because you're not playing with actual people, because that game is built to be with people and is a ton cooler with people.
Yeah, for sure.
So it sucks. And part of why it sucks is because Codemasters has a game on the horizon called Onrush, which is supposedly taking, notes from MotorStorm and stuff like that, stuff that they've done in the past, spiritual successor or whatever you want to call it. But now I'm 90% turned off of it because of how they treated Micro Machines.
Sure. No, it's fair.
So it sucks.
Not really masters of code, are you?
No. And they do events like every week, it seems, but they're totally on some rotation. Like, I don't think anybody's clicking a button.
No, it's...
because there are some events that do have double XP, but no, it's just like the events aren't bad. They're interesting, but it's just
tweet
on
at them.
A freaking rotate. Like
send them a tweet and say, hey, since I'm the only person playing Micro Machines, can you just turn on permanent double XP?
I thought about doing that, but then the work it would entail...
Yeah, I know. Clicking on a link and then typing.
Depressed.
No, do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it for you. We'll do it from the Zero Hit Points account.
All right. Okay. Also, by the way, do you have any Jurassic Park pinball tables you'd be willing to part with? Not the most interesting thing I played this week. None of those things are. I finally started Uncharted.
Hey!
And I'm burning through it. I booted it up in the living room. Was like, hey, games like this, games with a strong story aspect, I usually bring my wife in and let her watch the beginning and tell me if it's something she wants to continue watch while I play or something like that. Because especially stuff, she has a long and storied history with Tomb Raider.
Sure.
I don't know if she's ever played it, but her brothers played it obsessively.
Tom Raider. Yep.
So she has a history with that. She understands. There's an ADB with Uncharted, obviously. So yeah, plug it in, burning through it on easy, literally just in it for the story. I think the Uncharted gameplay isn't necessarily the draw anyways, especially with the first game. I know that really takes off with the second.
Yeah, because that first game really turned me off.
Did it really?
Hate the combat to it. Hate it.
Really? It's nothing. I'm missing headshots weird. Like, I'm on it, and it, like, I feel like games, maybe it's the hitboxes. Maybe that's what I'm seeing too. But
Sure.
I feel like games where you can have the reticule on maybe 50% on the head, because I'm a lot of times clipping the top of the head.
Sure.
Those things just whiff. Like they don't hit on this game. So I don't know.
That game, like, I'd come into it much later, much like you did, but much further after. It was close to when 4 either released or 3 had been
Really?
out for a little while. Yeah.
I want to say 3 because I feel like we've had
It might have been 3.
a smaller discussion. Yeah. Okay.
But that first game, I just hated it. I hated everything about it. The story was boring. I couldn't get into it. It didn't grab me right away. And then on top of the fact that the story didn't grab me right away, I hated the gameplay for it. I just hated it. And it was like, I'm not doing this. And
the gameplay is completely boilerplate. Like, there's nothing special about it, which I'm okay with the way I'm playing this thing. Because like I said, I'm burning through it. Like, we're on chapter 6 or 7 already. I don't know how many chapters there are.
8.
But, really?
I don't know.
That would be great. But the story is better than the gameplay. It is also not doing anything terribly special, but they've created enough interesting set pieces, and I think I'm just to the point where it's starting to come together. Like, the bad guys killed my buddy. We found the German submarine on the top of a waterfall. So interesting stuff like that. Like, you walk out of the woods and you see that, and you're like, okay, that's
that's
what's going on here.
That's
Where is
as
this going?
far as I got. I found the submarine, and then I was like, and by the time I found it, I was like, this just sucks. Like, I just am not. This is not clicking for me, man. It's just not doing it.
Yeah, and I'm in it for the long haul. Like, I'm obviously, this is almost a warm up. Like, I want to get to 2. I want to get to 2 and 4. I hear those are the standouts. So I'm kind of, I probably don't have to play 1, but
I probably should have skipped it and just gone into 2. But I'm at a point now where it's like, I was so turned off by the first one.
Right.
I don't have any interest in the series anymore. It's just
I can send these things to you when I'm done.
have them.
At the very least, I can send you 4. Oh, really? Oh, you got this collection?
4 is the only one I don't have. I got
Gotcha.
I ended up getting the collection, which I must have been when 3 came out. Because I think right after 3 had come out. Because I got the collection, and then I have the third one from somewhere. I don't know how I have it.
Did they do a collection for PS3?
No, it's for my PS4.
I'm trying to remember because I feel like they did, because these all have the remaster thing all over them.
Oh, yeah. No, maybe it was PS. I don't remember. All I remember is wherever I played it, I didn't like it.
Gotcha.
Not
Fair
going
enough.
back to it.
I'm going to plug ahead. Like I said, we're burning through it. If I get to like chapter 20 something, I've heard some of the stories drag, so that I might have different things to say, but so far, so good. Enough.
All right. Fair enough.
That's all I played.
Cool. Let's do the thing.
Wait, what? Okay.
It's time to go and to the next part of the show. It's
yeah, that thing. No, okay, yeah.
It's the
let's do that.
news you can't use, but we're going to abuse.
And this week it is going to be lighter fare. As we have changed the cast, this section has become an opportunity for us to delve into deeper issues, both with gaming and with the industry and stuff like that. This week, it didn't seem like much lent itself to that, and I think that's something we definitely don't want to force. So we're going to keep it light. We're going to talk about some puff pieces, maybe?
Peefy puffs. Ooh,
but
peefy puffs. Oh, what? Huh. Everybody.
They go deeper than that, though. I feel like there's some fun to them.
Let's have some fun.
I think it's important to highlight stories like this in the industry, especially nowadays and lately.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
We're going to highlight the good.
Are we slow jamming something here?
I'm just hitting it up. Oh.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. First thing I thought was cool, and I do like to talk about this anyways, is the DICE Awards happened. Those are Interesting to me because it's a group of developers talking about their favorite games of the year, which I think holds special weight, obviously. This year, I feel like all is well because it looks like the big takers are Legend of Zelda and, in my eyes, Cuphead, which got outstanding achievement in original music composition, outstanding achievement in art direction, and outstanding achievement in animation. So all is right with the world.
Maybe we should call it the King Dice Awards.
In fact, I don't see any of them coming ever.
Don't worry.
I just think it's important to start with that because had Cuphead not won any of those, it probably wouldn't be worth talking about anything else that came out of that show either. Right?
Never talk about the whole
thing.
If Cuphead isn't involved, don't talk about it.
Yeah, it's throws the whole thing into question. But that's not the case. So we can talk about another thing they do, which is often hand out Lifetime Achievement Awards. This is put on by the Academy of Arts and Sciences.
It's very academic.
And this year's recipient was Genyo Takeda, who most people probably haven't heard of because he very consciously decided to kind of work behind the scenes. But he's primarily a hardware engineer. He had a lot of hands lately, especially, or I guess largely when speaking of his legacy. He had to do a lot with the hardware that Nintendo has put out over the years.
So is he a Nintendo guy then? Like is that where he's been?
He is a Nintendo guy. His story is super cool. So he graduated in 1971. He studied electrical engineering, semiconductors, and the reason he mentioned that year specifically because it was also the same year that Intel launched the first commercially available microprocessor. So
sure.
He's pretty high up on that wave. Like he's at the forefront, I guess. But he interviews at Nintendo right out of college, 1971. He gets interviewed by Kunpei Yokoi, who guns right there in his name, man.
Yeah, no, I'm scared of him. He's a terrifying gentleman.
It's no surprise that he went on to create Game & Watch and Game Boy.
Oh gosh,
that Gunpei.
Yeah, that Gunpei.
But in interviewing Takeda, liked what he saw, obviously, brought him on. So Takeda essentially becomes what now everybody refers to as Nintendo's first game designer. The first thing he worked on was this thing called the EVR Race, which was a 6-person kind of horse racing sim arcade game.
Huh.
So Nintendo's first video game, technically.
Nice.
And he was the man. And he in 1974, Miyamoto came on. He showed Miyamoto the ropes, basically, is how the story goes. So still working behind the scenes, but had a big hand, the largest hand maybe, in Punch-Out.
Oh, man.
Nintendo had a surplus of TV monitors, so they taxed him with creating an arcade game that had 2 monitors, which I haven't seen that cabinet a whole lot, if ever. But if you look at it, there's a monitor on top.
Yeah, it's got the split to it.
Wrote, directed, designed Star Tropics and the successor.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So it had his hand in a lot of cool stuff.
That game in particular,
beginning.
Star Tropics, that was a deep game, man. I remember when that came out, people were over the moon for it. People still are.
Blazed some trails, it did, it's cool. But when he really gets into it is when he really starts kind of flexing his hardware and his engineering muscles. And he begins around the N64 era, kind of pushing power. Because the graphical change with the N64 was a huge thing, and he was behind that. That was the time. Like they were creating something different. They were creating tech that was different, and he pushed that in a way that emphasized the direction Nintendo was going at the time. And no small side note, did the N64 analog controller while he was at it.
Yeah, why not? Why you just do it? Just I'm there.
This is the dude. And say what you will about that thing now. I mean, those things don't last for beans. So if you have one, it's garbage right now.
It is. The one I just rebought. Garbage now.
Garbage. But he designed the first analog controller.
Nice.
So,
that's awesome.
Big dude. But then several years later, the Wii comes along and basically flips everything on its head, right? The Wii was not the technical powerhouse. Like basically he's like, we did power. We did the N64, but gets to the Wii and is like, all right. In fact, I'll just give you the quote that I think Polygon gives, but from him says, quote, "We could have tried to improve the speed at which the console displays stunning graphics, but we could not help but ask ourselves how big an impact would that direction really have on our customers. During development, we came to realize the sheer inefficiency of this path when we compared the hardships and costs of development against any new experiences that might be had by our customers." So technical decision maybe, but this was a decision that literally set Nintendo on the path that it's still on today. Like this was the time when they were like kind of rediscovering their roots in toys and produced the Wii instead of, a 1080p monster to compete with, Xbox 360 or whatever else was going on at the time. Again,
Right.
PlayStation. I don't know. Nobody remembers.
No, it's years are time is relative.
And so, but Nintendo's still on this path. Like the Switch is this still, like they didn't go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, now let's create something that's going to compete with the One and the PS4. No, they released their next iteration of this path that Takeda set them on back then. So
yeah, and the interesting thing there is even if you hated the Wii, if you never connected with you, that console was important for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It changed people's lives. As ridiculous as that sounds, it did. It brought families together. It was useful in hospitals. And on top of that, it did bring together a combination of kind of casual gamers and some more hardcore stuff, and allowed kind of I don't know. It was impactful. It allowed for more connectivity than any other console maybe in history.
Not internet connectivity. Don't get that confused.
No, don't use internet. You can't.
Absolutely not.
It's Nintendo. You got to have a friend
code. And then the Wii U
for
came
internet.
along and tore everybody apart.
Yeah, it literally was like it was the room of consoles. They're tearing me apart, Wii U.
Yes, but Genyo Takeda, cool dude, great impact, and certainly deserving of this award. Videos out there, you can see him accept it. You can see his intro and kind of they do a little historical blurb, and his acceptance speech is really cool. He accepts it basically on behalf of all the unsung heroes of design, both engineering wise and development wise. So cool story.
That is a cool story,
bro.
I have a story. I'll share a story with you.
I want to hear it.
Cast your mind back.
Okay.
1981, Nintendo releases Donkey Kong. People love it. People think, hey, I'm a Donkey Konga. That'll come out years later.
Much later, yes. No, but it was paving the way.
But it was paving the way.
Mm.
So 2 years later, okay, Nintendo's been releasing stuff. Super Mario Brothers has come out. Excite Bike has been released. Lots of stuff is coming out. During this time, Nintendo, again, around the 1983 time, Nintendo has been licensing properties to Hudson Soft. And Hudson Soft, probably best remembered for Adventure Island, Bonk, the Bomberman series, those games that was Hudson Soft.
Were they Kirby? I feel like Kirby's the one that always.
I don't think I think Kirby's Nintendo, but
oh wait, that might be HAL Labs actually.
See, now you're
cool. I messed it up. You can keep going.
Yeah, never bring that up again. So those are the games I'm mostly remembered for. And Nintendo was licensing properties to them to be produced on to produce a version of some of their games on Japanese PCs, and mostly around the 8801 platform. But there were some lesser powerful platforms that were also used, in particular Sharp's X1. These games, they were games like Mario Brothers Special and Punchball Mario and Excite Bike, all three games, slightly different versions of the games that were actually released because the computers at home couldn't replicate what an arcade could. So the side-scrolling was a no-go at the beginning. So for the Mario games, instead of going from point A to point B and you're running, you're side-scrolling, you're going through the whole level, you'd go from point A to point B on one single screen. There would be a pause, a flicker, and then you're on the next screen. And so you continue on.
Screen. Which is nuts. I mean, talk about like that's the breaking point in history right there, is when personal computers started to become more powerful than arcade machines. Like that's basically arcade machines are dying. So it's bizarre to think about it the other way around. At some point,
So tons of these games that were originally created back then for those Japanese PCs, again, specifically for Japanese PCs, they've been found, they've been dumped out and are available for emulation. You can download them now, you can find them, whatever. But there was one game that kind of sat, and it sat forever until very, very recently, and it was Donkey Kong 3. I never even knew Donkey Kong 3 existed. This game, Donkey Kong 3 Daiga Yakushu...
Nailed it.
Daiga Yakushu. I think that's how you say it. And the word translates to the Great Counterattack. So this game sat on a disc for years. And then this last December, a whole bunch of people, fans of the game, fans of those emulations, pooled money together to buy a copy of the Sharp X1 version of it. So again, a different PC from the PC 8801, different PC altogether, different platform.
How many people did come together? Actually, I'm curious.
There was a handful, and I don't know what the exact number is.
All right.
The total number though was $415 for a copy of the game. So they went to Yahoo Auctions, got a group of people together, bought the game, they pulled the data, created a game image, and they've got an emulated version of it available now if you have an X1 emulator. This does mean that, if you're using a lot of the older games, like I said, PC 8801 was a different PC platform.
Right.
This is not that. So you're not going to be able to transfer it in. That version of the game exists, but it's not the one that was pulled. So
send your tech support requests elsewhere, please.
Yeah, exactly. Stop asking us for help. We don't know what we're doing. But this was a super interesting game, okay? So when this was released, there were 20 stages in the game in total that a majority of people never ever saw. And
I guess it was super hard.
It was really, really hard. And the premise of the game, not the same as like a regular Donkey Kong where you're going up the platforms while the barrels are running. In this case, you were in a greenhouse. You're not Mario. You're a character named Stanley. And you are basically jumping on the platforms to kill bugs while Donkey Kong is lowering himself down. And you are trying to kill bugs and then stop him from dropping down to attack the city or the greenhouse by basically shooting bug spray up his butt. It's butt spray.
Oh, yeah. You're not wrong.
So some of the fun things about this though were that because of the game in the arcade, it was very simplistic. It was just a greenhouse, maybe some color changes, and it was just that over and over again. Hudson never really took the game directly as a one-to-one from the arcades because they couldn't. As I mentioned before,
right.
The PCs didn't work that way, so they had to manipulate them and change them slightly. And they also wanted to change them to be a different game. And in this case, Hudson based the game off the original, but made some significant changes. And so they gave it the actual, that subtitle of the Great Counterattack. They removed just the greenhouse. So it's not just, you're not seeing the greenhouse. Now it goes to different places. They changed the backgrounds on it. So you go to the universe. You go into the universe. And so there are just a mess of these games that cost tons of money. We're talking like this is not the only one that's still out there. These are $400, $500, $600, if not more, depending on the game. And people are, they're doing the thing of like I said, they're emulating them. They're creating images and getting them out there.
Not speaking of which, the large reason, since these are collector's items, we're hearing about this on Kotaku, is from Chris Kohler, who's the man as far as that goes. So,
indeed,
these are also fun stories to check out.
They are cool stories to check out.
Is that what we call this segment? Cool story, bro.
Cool story, bro. No, we don't.
Okay,
but I can tell you, we call the next section, the final section of the show, the capper.
The capper. So, and in the past, this has also been something a bit heavier because we're enjoying talking about things that are a bit more meaningful on this show. But we've also left ourselves some room that we can do whatever we want at any time, basically.
Party! DTF, so down to fun.
This week, we're making the capper just a quick question because, as you may have heard, Half-Life 3 has come out.
Finally.
It turns out it's called not half but final, not life but fantasy, and not 3 but 15.
Oh. So Final Fantasy 15?
Yeah, that's it. You did it. Okay.
Starring Gordon Freeman.
I see now why that would have been easier to say it that way. Yes, there's a skin that came out for, I think this might just be on the PC too, but Gordon Freeman can be in Final Fantasy 15 for you, if you like.
Finally.
And is beautifully anachronistic and fun, and as that game does. Got me thinking, what other characters would you put into other games? I know what I would say. I want to know what you would say first.
That's such a weird, interesting question because like there are a ton of crossovers. We see that all the time. Injustice is a great example. The Turtles and Hellboy fighting dead,
it's true, actually.
dead shot, all that. But this is like this is a little different,
And we can go deeper than Gordon Freeman, because Gordon Freeman is very much like the Turtles in Injustice is probably a better example than that. Gordon Freeman's just a skin, basically.
Well,
I don't even know if you get a weapon
Gordon
out
Freeman's
of it.
interesting because, like, out of nowhere for Final Fantasy at that,
right,
like,
yeah.
where is the relation, and how did you get that connection? What I mean, other than the fact that weird aliens exist in both worlds, like what you know?
Yeah, I don't know. So we can keep it completely open. You can talk mechanics, character mechanics coming in with them, to the extent you want any other character in any other game.
I'm interested in seeing characters brought into games that are where they can still shine in their own way, and there's some relation. Like a great example where I think this didn't go well for me is Soul Calibur. Years ago, they released like Darth Vader and Yoda. Like in Soul Calibur, I get why they did it. You know, it's a fighting game. They use their swords, all that stuff.
Swords, right?
But that didn't work for me because like that they're so separate in world. You know.
Okay.
So like I want something where
there's no like funny in joke. It feels like with Gordon Freeman or something like that. You
right,
can,
which
like,
it's so weird.
I mean, you can enjoy that on some level.
Sure.
Even if the worlds don't match. But yeah, I agree. The Soul Calibur one is kind of like...
And lots of people, people loved Yoda. It was fine. It's
really?
Just,
Okay.
For me, I like crossovers where there is at least something that's more than just the most tenuous of connections. That they both fight people, you know? Which is why, you know, saying something like, I want to see Link in Bulletstorm maybe doesn't work well, but seeing the Bulletstorm guy, you know, in say Gears of War, while they're similar in many respects, that guy's attitude is totally different and his play style different. I'm interested in a Gears of War that has the same overall story style and feel, but maybe plays a little more like Bulletstorm and is with the Bulletstorm guy. Like, that would be kind of unique and interesting.
That's actually a pretty good example, because Gears is really self-serious like 90% of the time too.
Right.
Which is the complete opposite of Bulletstorm. So
and the one there's like the one Barrett is like the only moments of respite you get in those games.
Right. And it's not, you know, transcendent or anything either.
No.
So yeah, that would be, I could, yeah, okay, all right.
Something like that. Like that would be cool for me. You know, another good example that I never would have considered actually is Mario and Rabbids. Like that seems to have worked out super well.
Yeah, somebody should do that.
I can't.
It's better than Rabbids in anything else.
Ubisoft.
I would like to see Zenyatta in a walking simulator.
I can affect that. Yeah! I can help you. To actually get, if you think about it though, Zenyatta in a walking simulator could actually be kind of interesting too, because of that.
You never see the person in a walking simulator.
The beard, that kind of pseudo Buddhist style of philosophy that he's got going on, like in a walking simulator based in the Overwatch world, written by, you know, the folks who did Gone Home or Edith Finch or something.
But then you see the actual walking animation,
and all you see. But no, that's perfect, because if you haven't seen this, we'll tweet it out. I think I already did once, but we'll tweet it out again. So the best part would be if they animated it in such a way that you are still first person, but you see his legs kicking out,
like coming up into view each time.
Yeah,
yep.
I love it.
Yep, it's pretty good.
Hey, that's the capper,
and that's enough. That's the show.
Yeah. What games? Is there anything coming out that you're like, hey, I gotta buy it, I gotta get it?
There is.
What is it?
And it's not this week, but I don't care.
Okay.
It's Burnout Paradise Remastered.
Heck yes.
Day one.
Crash,
I'm doing that.
smash, and bash.
I'm glad this actually happened sooner than later, because I've had the backwards compatible version just sitting on my Xbox, like, as one of the games I will start soon. So
I booted it up, and even as a backwards compatible, it's rougher than what this is going to be, and I'll wait.
I'm not surprised to hear that it's rough, but also I was concerned about the online community, because that game needs people.
Big time.
So a re-release like this with a little fanfare is something that would get more people into it, obviously on a new platform too. So I think it'll benefit from that too. So
yeah, exciting. I'm into it.
That's March 16th, so we won't be talking about it next week or anything. But we will. Actually, I'll probably still mention it again next week. But and then we'll play it, and then we'll actually talk about it.
Yeah, and then the week after that, I'm pretty excited, is Sea of Thieves.
Oh dang! And is that 1.0 or is that some sort of early release?
And I think Far Cry
type?
comes out that week too, or maybe the same week as Burnout. It comes out soon.
Things picking up around the site. All right.
Super excited. That we're going to talk more about those games next week.
And I'll keep playing Uncharted, so there'll be more of that.
Cool.
But that's all I got.
New stuff on the site. Go check out the podcast. Obviously, it's up there. We've got the book club for movies stuff that's popping up over there too. Hit that up if you want. That comes out on Thursdays.
Black Panther was last week.
Colossal.
This week's going to be Colossal.
Yeah, next week, you're going to have to listen to the show to find out, or just wait for the tweet. Either way, it'll happen. 0hitpoints.com. Hit us up at 0_H_P on Twitter. Podcast at 0hitpoints.com is the email. You can go ahead and communicate with us electronically.
We're accessible.
We are accessorized with us. We can give you stickers if you want.
Yeah, what do you want? You want some stickers? You want some shirts? You want some wristbands? That's all we got. You can't have anything else besides.
We haven't even told you about the wristbands yet, and we won't.
Dang it.
Never going to mention them again.
They don't exist. 0hitpoints.com.
Hey!